What is going on, everyone? My name's Boyd, and I'm back with some more Age of Mythology retold action. It's been a hot minute since I've done a cast of Rooney. I was doing some math on the whole Athens land thing, and I think there was I can't even remember the number. It was so ridiculously big. It was something like 100 series total, average of 4 games a series. It was something like 400 casted games over the course of the playoffs, over the course of the qualifiers for the Athens LAN. So I was kind of a little burnt out on the whole cast and Rooney business, but it's been a couple days. I've played a bunch of games and I've got that itch. It's time to watch some higher level Age mythology in the right hand corner of the map, playing as Zeus. His name is Kido Severo Jones Bones Malone the third. No, just kidding. It is the first, second, third, fourth, and fifth because he's all the same person. His opponent today under the alias Mirari is Avely. If you guys didn't watch Avely, he did actually manage to get into the playoffs in the Athens LAN, but unfortunately, I think he didn't have the best qualifier run in the open qualifiers. I did actually expect him to do very well. This is one of my picks for sort of like a top 10 player at the moment, but he just, for whatever reason, didn't perform in the qualifiers, and then or he didn't actually qualify in the qualifiers. He wasn't top 8, so he didn't get that chance to play every week of the playoffs, and he got in on the 5th one, and I think he dropped in the first round, but it was like a 3-2 game or something, a 3-2 series from memory. Very, very close against, you know what, I think I might even open it up and figure it out while we're watching this Katoskopos be very, very rude to the priest over here. You know, the thing that I walked away from watching all these games for Gameathon was just the quality of player we've got. It just seems so incredibly high. Excuse me, I'm wrong. It was a 3-1 versus B. And I think from the looks of the gods that B picked, unfortunately I didn't watch that series. From the looks of the gods that B picked, Susanoo, Tezcatlipoca, Huitzilopochtli, it just kind of looks like Avely didn't get the memo that he needed to ban out those Aztecs. They're really, really powerful. Anyways, nonetheless, we'll see how this game's going to go. Now, the reason I want to watch this one is I had a little cheeky look at the details, and I've had some conversations with people lately, and I know that the gameplay that you often see at the lower levels is going to be very different to the gameplay you see at the top levels, because players are able to deal with certain things easier at the top level, and they're able to do more stuff with certain things at the top level. So oftentimes you won't see certain units getting used, and you're like, why aren't you using that unit? That just seems like a unit that I always see get used against me, and I can't deal with it. In this case, recently I've been having some conversations about the Centaur, and I know that, like, I think we might have already done the Centaur video already, but I've had some more conversations after it, and I don't think my opinion has been wavered. Very, very rarely does my opinion waver unless I'm shown some sort of fact, some sort of actual gameplay that shows that that's the case, and I can't figure out a way around what I'm shown. There's this kind of habit, or not even a habit, it's just like a cultural thing inside of the top level Age of Mythology community where players will say, it's just this, and it does frustrate me a little bit, because it's not just this ever. It's, yeah, there's maybe some truth to what you're saying, but you also are missing XYZ, and it might also be fine over in this situation and in this situation, and even in the situation you're talking about, it's also fine if you do A, B, C. You know, there's so many different variables that's going on in the whole thing. So it's not as simple as all of that. So I'm expecting to see Kido here playing for the Centaur in this game, and he is up against Isis, who has had the priest sort of, the priest versus Centaur dynamic has changed. And one of the things that was brought up to me around the Centaur is that basically the Centaur is, how do I put this? Oop, bit of an Eclipse over here and Bolt. That's not a good trade from Averly, unfortunately. You definitely don't want to be dropping Eclipse with just one Sphinx if there's a Bolt on the table and a Ceasefire, though to be honest, trading Eclipse for a Bolt, I think he would have been able to trade it for a Bolt without the Eclipse anyways on that position because there's no hero there. But anyways, back to my point. What I think, and I think this is the issue with the myth unit, the way that top level players see the myth units at this point, and it's not like this. Top players see myth units as a unit to extract insane, infinite value out of. That's what they see the myth unit as. And maybe that's also true for some lower level players as well. I don't know. But nice defense here from Averly. They want to extract infinite value out of the unit. So for example, in Legacy, you had the Centaur as a power shot unit. You could come in, shoot a unit, 100% accuracy at double the damage. And invariably, actually in the original Legacy, if you had 2 Centaur, you could one hit a villager. And you can also one hit like a Hoplite or a Murmillo or something like that. So if you were to play Centaur, you could literally get infinite value throughout the classical age with that unit until someone, until a player got to the point where they actually had some sort of consistent answer versus the unit, and then it would become a 0 value unit. So it would go from infinite value down to 0 value, which I don't know about you guys, but I think that's kind of silly. I don't like that, and I don't like that concept in the slightest. I much prefer a unit which has got consistent value throughout the game. So if I come in and I want to get value done with my Centaur, then I should have to take some damage with it. Now I can micro and I can increase the value that unit's going to come, but it should never go to infinite status, ever. So, and I think that's the case here. Maybe I'm going to get proved wrong from Kido's gameplay here. I think that's somewhat the case with the Centaur at the moment. It's a unit that is not infinite value anymore, but it is consistent value. And it's a unit you should be building if the situation calls for it. So right now we're seeing Spearmen getting built. Centaur are going to be a fantastic option. We are actually going to be seeing Toxotes as the option here from Kido at the moment, which is fine. And we'll see when he decides to change his sort of approach to this game. Now, on the other side, we've got the Nephthys coming through from Averly, and this makes sense. You could go for Sobek here as well. There's not really a problem with Sobek versus Nephthys in this matchup. There's Ceasefire, which does kind of shut down the minions, but yeah, this is a thing. So, do you see a villager getting sniped here as he's going to run to the tower? A little bit of damage, a bit of a misplay, I'd say, from Kido, because he does actually have the units to defend himself out already. He's sitting back getting watchtowers. He's got the units out to defend himself. So he probably should have been sitting here defending his hunt, and then he wouldn't have been pushed off, and he probably would already be able to be advancing to the heroic age here. But instead, yeah, he's pushed back and he can't get himself the berries. Nice tower snipe here from Averly, and Averly is going to be healing up all of his spearmen. I also want to bring you to the fact that this is standard here for Egyptian players should, and it is in their best interest, regardless of the amount of myth units on the map, should have somewhere between 4 and 5 priests in their army. And the reason for that is the healing is resources. So that's why you see Averly doing this. It's very, very good. It's very, very consistent. Another conversation I had recently was around the priest, in that I feel like there's too much power budget. Power budget is a term that's used to sort of just say how much stat some unit gets. I think there's too much power budget in healing for the priest and not enough in other areas. But that's neither here nor there. I'm not gonna harp on that. I just wanna bring that up and just say that this is currently the right way to play. Averly is in a good spot here. He's getting himself his forward Migdol. He doesn't have prosperity anymore. He's already dropped it, but he does have enough favor for another prosperity in this situation. Do you want to ever drop that next prosperity? Yeah, and I think the answer is often yes. Because, well, do you want to build Scorpion Man? I'd say you would want to build Scorpion Man if you've got the Eclipse up, but he doesn't. The only other myth unit that's worth building here, and this goes back to what I said in my last video, the only other myth unit worth building is the Avenger and the Phoenix. I don't think that... What's the other unit? The Mummy is a unit you really need to build many of. So if he does want to go Osiris here, it's fine, but you only really need 2 Mummy at a time. You don't need more than that. Because they are a unit that is going to be boosted by DPS. You want to kill off as many units as you possibly can with said Mummy. Right? And then from there, you don't need more than... Yeah, like I said, you don't need more than 2. So they use the Vomit on two different areas of the army. You take the fight, you kill off a bunch of stuff, you get a bunch of minions. Happy days. Having more than that doesn't really help you. Whereas Phoenix, you can have a lot of them. Scorpion Man, you can have a lot of them. Avenger, you can have a lot of them, and they will sort of stack in how effective they are when you get a mass of those units. Nonetheless, we are now starting to see Kido doing something that I personally am in love with. And this is something that I've also brought up. And it looks like Kido's kind of figuring it out, or he came up with it himself, is the fact that Zeus has got Centaur. And in order to build these Centaur efficiently, quickly, and catch your opponent out, you almost need, and you do need, 2 temples. So right now he's got 15 villages on favor, 55 favor per minute. So you can realistically spend all of that favor with 1 temple in a minute, but chances are you're not going to have the resources or whatever. But Kido, he is full send on the Centaur spammage, and I couldn't be happier. Does he also have himself Spirited Charge? Not just yet. That's another tech that's going to be well worth it to pick up, as there goes the next prosperity for Avely, and I assume he's going to be wanting to get to the next age. Avely is going in with Camel Rider, which, if you know me, I will, and I'm sure you guys do, this is a unit I will never build. Unless I have Sobek, Thoth, or Osiris. So if I am Sobek, fine to build it in the heroic age. If I have Osiris, obviously fine to build it. It's going to get a lot stronger with those techs. If I have Thoth, I'm only going to be building that in the mythic age with Pharaoh Empowerment, because I'm getting 2 for 1. And two Camel Riders for 1 is good. And then I'm just going to hit my full population attacks or whatever. And it's really, really strong. But Avely goes in with these Camel Riders, and it sort of makes sense because the Centaur aren't amazing versus the 40% Pierce Armor Camel Rider. But the problem is that even 40% Pierce Armor, if you take a quick look at the base, it's 225. Even that 225 effective Pierce Armor, you take a look at the actual damage these units are doing, 18 Pierce, and then 3 per second for 3 seconds. And if they stay in there, an extra 5. So if they stay in the damage, the entirety of that damage for that ball would be 19 damage, pierce damage. So 90 pierce damage. So you're basically half HPing every single one of those every one of those Camel Riders if you sort that out. As one Centaur goes down, as Kido, I don't like particularly raiding with the Centaur. These are a unit that you want in your army to fight enemy units in this stage of the game. Now, of course, if you can get the village, it's just like any other unit. If you can get onto the village, it's obviously good, but there's not really any sense in like pushing forward because you're not getting that consistent damage and that consistent value that I'm talking about. You're looking for infinite value, which I don't think this unit has, and a good player is going to be able to lock off that infinite value. As now we see Spirit of Mart to come through, as Avely is recognizing that he will be needing quite a lot of priests. And here is where we get into the next sort of issue for Egyptian to deal with. These Centaur for Zeus, they're 2 population. There's 1 priest versus 1 Centaur. Of course, it's like the resource cost is a completely different story. Of course, they're very, very cheap versus the Centaur. But 1 priest, does 1 priest beat 1 Centaur? Not. It does beat 1 Centaur, sure, but not really. You might drop 1 in the fight. You might drop 2 in the fight. You might drop 5 in the fight, but you're going to do the damage. So that's what I think Kido is going to be looking for. And the next thing here is, if one thing that I think will be very, very interesting is the amount of damage that the Kido Centaur is going to get with Hephaestus Revenge. So Kido, he's still not in the heroic age, which is wild. He's happily sitting in this classical age. So the centaur at the moment is going to be receiving, I think, an extra 25% HP and damage from the heroic age, then an extra 25% HP and damage from the mythic age, and then an extra, well, I don't actually know what the math is on it, but attacks, the attack rate will go down by 25%. So I don't know how much of a damage boost DPS to DPS effectively that is. I can't do that math, but it's a lot. So if he does end up getting there, it'll be interesting. But on the flip side here, Avely is on 3 town centers. A little bit late. He's a little bit behind on villager count, but he will catch up on that. And he's got a lot of gold in the bank. I wouldn't mind seeing Avely grabbing this 4th town center. The way that Kido's playing is he's playing very, very turtly, very, very defensive. And generally, whenever someone plays in a defensive, turtly way, the best way to play is take the map, take town centers. That's the and then tech. So either tech or take town centers or both. That's generally the best way. And we do see here that in building, funnily enough, in building all of these centaur, he's completely stunted Avely's ability to attack him because he has to build all the priests. What a wild situation. Now, Fortress to come down. And here's the other wild thing. Kido, if he goes for the Hera here, if he goes for Lightning Storm, those just say goodbye to those priests. They're all going to die to a Lightning Storm. I think that, or maybe they take 2 shots to die, but like 8 HP apiece after the Lightning Storm is done. As the Centaur say, get out of here, and the Camel Riders do oblige. They do not want to hang. No worries. And then we also see Thracian Horses, as I'm sure that Prodromus are going to be an option here. Of course, Avely sitting back, not really doing anything here is not ideal. I feel like he's maybe making, he's got so many resources to be slapping up Migdol strongholds and just securing gold mines and securing this town center and all that other stuff. I'm so disappointed. I get it. I wholeheartedly get the desire to go Hephaestus. I get it. It makes sense. It's so strong. He's got probably no armory upgrades, 1 armory upgrade at the moment. But man, I wanted to see the Hera. Ah well. It's gonna be Hephaestus, and Kido still happily sitting back, waiting, watching, thinking, dreaming. More stables, more buildings coming up. He's got himself 11 stables, 5 military academies, 5 archery ranges. This Deathball is so terrifying. But on the flip side, a Deathball is only as terrifying as the amount of units that you have. If your opponent's got more units, then it doesn't really matter. So the simple solution here for Avely is to take this town center. It is to go Mythic Age, but I'm not sure what's happening. He's trying to just take... I like that he's trying to take the map here with the walls, but I'm not sure I understand why there's not an attempt. Ooh, Leviathan transport, love it. I'm not sure why there's not an attempt here to drop the Migdols in the middle of the map. That being said, there's still plenty of gold here for Kido, and he can make a trade route. He can also get himself fortified town centers, so he's not going to be that far behind on population, even if this town center gets grabbed. Though fortified town centers is in for Avely. Just another interesting one. I don't know if I agree with fortified town centers over the 4th town center, but anyways, neither here nor there. Both players at equal villages, equal military diff, not equal on tech, as Thoth is now going to be coming through. He's got 4 monuments up, so he can make himself those Phoenix if he wants. He can make Scorpion Men. He can go for another Prosperity. And I guess the reason why it's not Hera is just because of the monument protection situation, right? That's the main reason. But there goes the Forge of Olympus, and when this happens and the Greek player just gets to sit back, I'm kind of shook how far in front Kido is after not really much has happened. Generally, the Egyptian player is like soaring ahead in these sort of situations. So I'm not exactly sure what Kido did in this game that worked so well for him, but it did work well for him. And he's happily just going to sit back here and just wait for the most disgusting of bronze pushes you've ever seen. Now, bronze doesn't really do anything versus the priests, but all these other units are going to be quite useless. As a movement forward into Myrmidon, Prodromus. He's going to get himself that Olympian weapons as well for the Myrmidon. So they're really, really strong here, but not super useful. Not super useful versus chariot archers. Now in comes the Colossus. That's going to get taken down very fast by those priests. You know what? Funnily enough, if all of these Centaur can get taken out, I wouldn't be surprised if Averley just deletes the priests or runs them forward and just sacks them. Colossus does manage to stay alive for the time being. Obelisk getting sniped as the 21-minute turtle has now finally decided it would like to join in with some action here. Colossus over on this right side going to get taken out. And Kido still being incredibly safe with it as he's waiting on his full iron, which is now effectively in. And his Bellerophon to come through. Here comes the Meteor. You drop it down on the army. Oof! Big attack onto the army. No real way to heal that up. There is ceasefire available if need be. But Averley doesn't get a huge amount of value out of that Meteor. Bellerophon goes down. Fortress almost up. And the advantage for Averley is apparent here. He's got himself 280 pop. He's got himself 4 town centers. He can pressure this gold mine. He might even be able to secure this gold mine. He's got 70 favor in the bank for more stuff. He can go into these elephants as well. Does he have the upgrades for them? He needs the champion upgrade before going into elephants is generally what you want. He does have himself that Valley of the Kings tech. So there is that. Over on this side, a couple of random myth units need to get removed. That's chewing into the Kido population there. Anyways, most importantly, siege engineers and sieging down this town center is going to be the way forward for Kido. And Kido is running out of gold over here. So there are some fairly big issues. Is that a second Plenty Vault? I'm not even upset at the second Plenty Vault here as Ancestors gets dropped and a second Eclipse, which, to be honest, I'm not sure I'm a big fan of. As the Centaur pull back, and here comes the big fight. Priests denying the Centaur from being in here as these Toxotes over here, everything else on this side doing what they can. And Kido, he needs to get the Centaur in on this side to get off some damage. Realistically, he can run forward, shoot, and then pull back. That's all he needs to do. He doesn't need to sit in here and do anything else. As in he comes again. Centaurs are getting taken down, and we will be moving into those champion Prodromus. On this backside, Chariot Archers sitting back, defending. Good population in for both players at the moment. Still lots and lots of favor here. As is there an option to drop the bronze god power? It looks like there is, as now the Prodromus will be in. And, well, you always need spearmen to help out with these Prodromus. And at this point, I'd actually like to see more Centaur getting built. Yeah, the Centaur all died, but now it's time for more Centaur. We'll see if that's going to happen or not, as there are spearmen in here, actually. And that's going to allow the Centaur to have even more value. So Prodromus plus Centaur would be pretty strong here. On the side of Averley, he loses the town center, but he's still got a lot of population in the bank. He's still pumping out these elephants. And one of the big tough things for Egyptian is always that food situation, but he does have plenty of hunt on the map, so I wouldn't mind seeing him just bringing villagers in here and eating the food. As Kido going to just continue to push forward in onto this position. Colossus upgrade going to come through. Gold villagers onto this side doing their thing. As Iron is almost in for Averley. This is desperately trying to just get out some units here. Does have the 5 Migdals. They're all, not all of them are producing though. So I feel like he should be at full pop here. But even if he was at full pop, I don't think it matters because these units are just coming in so quickly. And the Prodromus are just so strong with Thracian horses and Spirited Charge that it almost just doesn't matter here. As now we see the shoulder of Talos, so in for Colossus. I still can't believe there's 2 20 volts here already, and all those myth units are getting built. You can just see how much favor Zeus is getting. But for the moment, this is a really good choke point for Avely. He's going to be throwing up his own towers here as well. The elephants are no good versus the Prodromus, but the chariot archers will be getting some real big damage done here. The big question is, are we going to start seeing any attacks anywhere else? These 2 myth units, how much population is he wasting here? Is that 3? 3, and I think that's 4, right? That's only 2 for the Carcanos. Okay, so it's only 5 pop net waste. It's not that big of a deal, but it is kind of big of a deal. It's 2 pop because it's a... it's Zeus myth units, right? Avely now up the population. He can look to grab his own town center here. His trade route is now started, or at least it's going to get started. And he's going to look to drop the town center back up as Kido will pull back. I'm not exactly sure what he's waiting on. The one thing he's got in this army, which seem kind of useless, are these Toxotes. We'll see if he can make this next attack work. The big thing that he does have, the big option that he does have, is a ceasefire town center grab. If he can break this position down again. He's not able to push through just yet. Towers coming up on the middle here. Fortresses amassing on this side as well, as Avely back up to full population. The big question is where to go next. It's going to be a Titan gate, but both players can go Titan here. There's no issues. A little bit of an advantage for Kido to get that Titan gate in. He's also going to get advanced fortifications. Now, these chariot archers do very, very well versus the Prodromus. Unless there's something else in the army to kind of help out. I am a little bit sad that we're not seeing more Centaur getting built here. Or the other thing that goes really well with Prodromus is going to be a Hydra, because your opponent needs to make Spearmen. So if you build a Hydra, then it's going to get a massive amount of heads from those Spearmen without taking too much damage back. And we are going to see more Colossus coming in. Metropoli coming through. More towers coming up on this side from Kido. Man, Kido's so good at this defensive gameplay. He's just got stuff everywhere. As now in comes the Titan Gate over on this corner. And surely on the... I think the issue to some degree here for Avely is just he doesn't have the income to support 4 town centers and going a Titan. So there is a possibility here that Kido is going to get this Titan out and he's going to be able to make a push forward as all these towers are coming up for Avely. This 1 gold Colossus is just sitting here with 2080 max HP. Hello? How much damage do these guys do? 4.4 divine times 6. So 20-ish. Wait, is that how math works? No. 24? 24-ish damage per second. 1 priest. How long do you think it takes? It takes a long time to kill a Colossus. These guys do not die. Alrighty. So it's not the... This Colossus idea against these priests, even with... Does he have Nebti? Of course he has Nebti. That's with Nebti. Take away one bonus damage, and that's how much the priest would normally do. Alright. Lighthouse going down over onto this side. More towers coming up in the center. Bellerophon, Heracles coming through. There's the heavy Petropoli on the way. And you see more Colossus coming through here for Kido. Kido is struggling a little bit on the resource count here because he's got so many villagers on this Titan gate, but he will have the Titan in. Now, Avely here, he does have the double temples. He might need more than that. At the moment, he's got himself how much on the trade route? It's got 39 trade coverage. One thing you can do at this stage of the game as well, it's not crazy, but you can drop Prosperity here for a boost to your trade route as well. But now the Titan is in for Kido. Only 9 population for this guy, for this Titan, by the way. Big boost. Colossus is trying to just... Anyways, the units coming through. There is also going to be a ceasefire available in just a little over a minute. If Kido wants to go for that idea of kill the town center, send the villagers forward, ceasefire, put the town center up. Realistically, the only thing keeping Avely sort of winning or in a good position here is the fact that this town center isn't up for Kido. You see another Ancestors getting dropped. That's a very silly usage of favor. Ancestors is the worst secondary god power cast, I think, in the game. It's a god power that's quite good if used immediately as part of a timing attack, right? Like earlier on in the game. But later on in the game, yeah, no, this does next to nothing, and it is sort of by design, and I like that. I like that there's god powers you shouldn't be recasting. I'd rather you build myth units. Because the town center getting put back up, these heavy Petropoli are very strong at preventing that. Meanwhile, the Titan has moved down onto the bottom side of the map here. Going to be taking out the fortified town center here and causing a lot of issues. But the other thing is these priests that Avely has built to deal with the Titan, well, they needed to go after the Titan. They're useless on the front here. There's more towers are coming up, and these towers are acting as an insane amount of population advantage for Kido. As Kido now going to take out the hometown center. He's playing some sort of legacy style Titan shenanigans. Generally speaking, if my opponent doesn't come and deal with my Titan, I'm just going to sit on the town center here and not let this go back up. I'll sit around here and just not let this go back up because this is worth, what is it, 20 or 30 population for for Isis, and this is only 9 population. So I'm fine with leaving it there and just denying 21 population there. But anyways, Prodromus coming through. Gold Colossus on the way, and the town center will continue to be attempting to come up here as the Titan back over onto this side to knock this down. Town center over here going to go up. Of course, if you can keep 2 town centers down, that's a different story. And he's also killing villages while he does this. So maybe Kido's methodology is a little bit stronger than mine. Anyways, more towers coming up onto this position for Kido to secure this spot, and Avely will tap out. What an interesting game here. So the Centaur forced Avely into all these priests, which almost meant that he couldn't really do a whole lot. And while Kido, I think he probably could have got a little bit more value out of them by simply just moving forward, getting that damage done, pulling back, waiting, going forward, getting that damage done, pulling back. Yes, you lose Centaur while you do that to the priests, but you get the damage, consistent damage done on that fight. But the fact of the matter is, Kido got into this position and he was able to sit back and he was able to enjoy all of this spot. And even though Avely got to 4 town centers, it almost didn't matter. Now, I would be interested in what would have happened had Avely gone for Osiris over Thoth here, on the fact that he gets Son of Osiris, not necessarily to destroy the or completely nullify the Centaur, because it doesn't really, but to make the Prodromus much less effective, because it's going to do a lot more damage to those Prodromus. And anyways, but then you wouldn't have the super war elephants, the population affected war elephants. Maybe he would have lost even faster. You also would have had mummies, a couple of mummies to help out against the Prodromus. Would have been nice too. So maybe, just maybe here, the mistake from Avely was the mummies. But on the other hand, I do think this idea from Kido to build a Deathball, prevent all of the crazy timings from Isis to come through, makes a lot of sense. He didn't get a huge amount of value from the Centaur, tangible value, but he got himself so much time, and that's kind of all you need. So, interesting game. I would be interested to see if if Kido maybe tried to force the issue a little bit more earlier on, because Avery was age jumping, so maybe like making some sort of an earlier attack with those centaur and trying to kill the priest off and micro a little bit with the centaur, pull those back, take those fights a little bit quicker. Like if you take a look at the actual military resource diff here, you can see that there was a bit of an advantage going on for Kido before all of this, and he sort of just sat back and didn't do a whole lot with it. But anyways, if you guys enjoyed this game and enjoyed this type of casting, a little bit different, I don't know, just random ideas that's going around my head, leave a comment. If you got any thoughts on the whole matter, also leave a comment. And yeah, let me know what's going on. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.